Welcome to Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to.
And this time, we're diving right into the deep end, the very beginning of Homer's Odyssey.
That's right, Book I, often called A Son's Quest and a Goddess's Aid. A perfect starting point.
Absolutely. So picture this. It's been 10 long years since the Trojan War ended.
10 years. Yeah. And pretty much all the Greek heroes, the Achaeans, they've managed to get back home.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's one very famous exception. Our main guy.
Ulysses. Or Odysseus, depending on your translation. He's missing.
Not just missing, he's being held captive.
Captive by who?
By the goddess Calypso on her island, Ogygia. And get this, she actually wants to marry him.
Wow. Okay, so a goddess wants to marry him, but he's not exactly thrilled.
Not at all. I mean, immortality might sound nice, but he's desperate to get back.
Back to Ithaca.
Back to his wife, Penelope, and his home. That's all he wants.
Meanwhile, back on Ithaca, things aren't great, are they?
Oh, far from it. It's chaotic. His son, Telemachus, is basically besieged in his own home.
By the suitors.
Exactly. A whole crowd of them. They've just moved in, eating all the food, drinking all the wine.
Living it up on Ulysses' dime, essentially.
Totally. And they're all trying to pressure Penelope into marrying one of them. It's a mess.
What a nightmare for Telemachus and Penelope. Just awful.
It really is. The house is in total disorder because the master is gone.
So while all this is happening on Earth, what about the gods? Are they involved?
Oh, definitely. Up on Olympus, they're actually discussing Ulysses. Zeus, the big boss, is kind of musing about mortals.
What's he saying?
Well, he's sort of complaining that humans always blame the gods for their problems.
Classic, right.
And he uses Aegisthus as an example, the guy who stole Agamemnon's wife and killed him when he got back from Troy.
Yeah. Zeus is basically saying, see, mortals make their own bad choices.
Pretty much. It sets up this whole theme, fate versus free will, divine meddling versus human responsibility.
Interesting. So does anyone stick up for Ulysses?
Yes, Athena does. Zeus's daughter. She clearly has a soft spot for Ulysses and his family.
So what's her plan?
First, she suggests sending Mercury, the messenger god, down to Calypso.
To tell her to let Ulysses go?
Exactly. A direct order from Zeus.
Yeah.
But Athena doesn't stop there. She decides she needs to intervene personally.
How?
She decides to go down to Ithaca herself to visit Telemachus. But she goes in disguise.
Smart. Who does she pretend to be?
An old family friend named Mentes. It's a way to get close to Telemachus without revealing herself.
Okay, so Athena, as Mentes, arrives in Ithaca. What does she find?
Exactly what we were talking about. The suitors are having a massive feast, being loud, disrespectful.
In Ulysses' own hall.
Right. There's even a bard, Phemius, singing for them. It's just complete disrespect for the house and its owners.
That violation of hospitality, that was a huge deal back then, wasn't it?
Massive. It shows just how low these suitors are. They have no honor.
So Athena, as Mentes, talks to Telemachus.
Yeah, she sees him sitting there looking miserable, and she strikes up a conversation. Asks him what's going on with this huge party and all these rude guests.
And Telemachus opens up.
He does. He spills everything to Mentes about his missing father, how the suitors are ruining everything.
And doesn't he say something really heartbreaking about wishing his father had died differently?
Yes, it's incredibly poignant. He says he almost wishes Ulysses had died gloriously at Troy.
Why on earth would he wish that?
Because then at least he would have inherited his father's fame, his Kleos. He'd have that legacy. Instead, he's got nothing but uncertainty and these guys destroying his inheritance.
Wow. That really shows you what mattered to them, honor, reputation.
Absolutely. It's about more than just property. It's about identity.
So what does Athena, still disguised as Mentes, say to all this?
Well, first, she offers some comfort, assures him his family line isn't doomed. But then she gives him actual practical advice. A plan.
Okay, what's the plan?
Step 1. Call an assembly. Gather the Achaean leaders there in Ithaca.
And do what?
Stand up and formally tell the suitors, in front of everyone, that they have to leave. Publicly demand it.
Taking charge. I like it.
A big step for him. Then, she says, he needs to go find out what happened to his father.
Oh.
By traveling. First to Pylos, to talk to old King Nestor.
Nestor fought at Troy, right? He'd know things.
Exactly. And after Pylos, go to Sparta to see Menelaus.
Yeah.
He was one of the last to get home from the war. They might have news.
So gather intelligence makes sense.
Then she tells him what to do when he gets back, depending on what he learns.
Okay.
If he hears Ulysses is alive and coming home, he needs to basically grit his teeth and endure the suitors for one more year.
Ooh. Tough ask.
Yeah. But if he learns his father is definitely dead,
Then what?
then he needs to come home, perform the proper funeral rites, build a burial mound super important for honor, and then let his mother, Penelope, remarry.
And only then deal with the suitors.
Right. Once his duty to his father and mother is done, then he needs to figure out how to handle the suitors. Maybe even kill them. The heavy burden she lays on him.
Definitely a lot for a young man.
Okay.
How does Telemachus react?
As Mentes leaves, something clicks for Telemachus.
Hmm.
He feels this sudden rush of courage, of divine inspiration.
He figures it out.
He realizes this wasn't just some old friend. It had to be a god, or goddess in this case.
And that changes things for him.
Completely. He's energized. He feels like he actually can do something.
So does he confront the suitors right away?
Pretty much. He goes right up to them, tells them, enjoy your feast tonight, but tomorrow morning I'm calling an assembly.
Oh.
And he tells them straight, I'm going to order you all to leave. Go feast in your own houses. And he warns them, if they don't, the gods will bring down vengeance.
Talk about finding your voice. How do the suitors take that?
They're stunned, absolutely floored by his boldness.
I bet. Does anyone respond?
Oh yeah, and Tantinus, who seems to be one of the main troublemakers, speaks up.
What does he say? Does he apologize?
Not a chance. He actually blames Penelope.
Blames Penelope for what?
For their being there. He brings up her trick with the shroud she was weaving for Laertes, Ulysses' father.
Ah, the famous shroud trick.
Yep. She promised she'd pick a suitor once it was done. Yeah. But she'd weave all day.
And unravel it all night. Genius.
Total genius. Kept them guessing for 3 years until one of her maids betrayed her.
So Antinous is saying it's her fault we're still here because she tricked us.
Basically, yeah. And he demands Telemachus send Penelope back to her father's house so he can arrange her marriage.
The nerve. And he threatens Telemachus.
Threatens him with worse if he doesn't comply. These guys are just bullies.
But Telemachus doesn't back down.
Nope. He's got this newfound resolve. He ignores the demand about Penelope and instead asks for a ship and 20 men.
To make the journey Athena advised.
Exactly. He says he's going to Pylos and Sparta for news. And he repeats, if he hears his father is coming back, he'll put up with their nonsense for 1 more year.
He's sticking to the plan. Good for him. Does he get the ship?
Well, not from the suitors. But guess who shows up again? You got it. This time, she's disguised as Mentor. Another old, trusted family friend.
Convenient.
Very. She encourages Telemachus, praises his courage, and says she'll get him a ship and crew. She even offers to go with him.
Wow, direct divine assistance?
Pretty much. She tells him to get the supplies ready, food and wine, while she rounds up volunteers.
So things start moving quickly.
Very quickly. Telemachus gathers the provisions, tells only his loyal old nurse, Euryclea, making her swear not to tell Penelope yet.
Why keep it from Penelope?
Probably didn't want to worry her unnecessarily until he was actually gone.
Makes sense. And Athena?
Athena, looking like Telemachus himself actually, goes around town and borrows a fast ship from a guy named Noaman and recruits a crew. Then, disguised as Mentor, she leads them down to the ship.
And they just leave.
Under the cover of darkness, Athena casts a sleeping spell on the suitors, Telemachus joins the crew, and they set sail that very night.
Secretly.
Amazing. He actually did it. He's on his way.
He's taken action. It's the start of his own journey.
What about the suitors? Are they still asleep? Well, the next day, they're back to their usual feasting, but they do notice Telemachus is gone.
No.
And then Noaman, the guy who lent the ship, comes asking when Telemachus might be back because he needs a ship.
Ah, so the secret's out?
Yep. The suitors, especially Antinous and another leader, Eurymachus, are furious and worried.
Worried Telemachus might actually succeed.
Or maybe bring back help. So Antinous comes up with a truly nasty plan.
Oh no, what is it?
He proposes they take a ship, gather the best fighters among them, and sail out to intercept Telemachus on his way back.
Intercept him?
Ambush him, kill him at sea.
What? They want to murder him?
That's the plan. Get rid of him, and then they can divide up his property and force Penelope to marry one of them. It's dark. Really dark.
That's horrifying. Did they actually go through with it?
They start planning it, yes. Meanwhile, back in the palace, the news finally reaches Penelope.
Oh, poor Penelope. How does she find out?
Her herald, Maclan, overhears the suitors plotting and goes straight to tell her. She's absolutely devastated. First her husband, now her son, sailing into danger, potentially into an ambush.
I can't even imagine. Does anyone comfort her?
Her old nurse, Euryclea, confesses she knew Telemachus was going but swore secrecy. Penelope is beside herself with grief and fear.
Is there any hope for her?
Athena steps in again,
Yeah.
in a way. While Penelope is crying herself to sleep, Athena sends a phantom.
A phantom.
Yeah, in the form of Penelope's sister, Iphtime. It appears to her in a dream.
What does the phantom sister say?
It tells her not to worry too much, that Telemachus has a divine guide with him, meaning Athena, and that he won't come to harm. It offers her some comfort.
A little bit of relief, at least. But the suitors, they're still out there planning.
Oh, yes. Despite the divine reassurance Penelope received in her dream, the suitors pick out a ship and crew.
And they set sail.
They set sail and position themselves in the straits between Ithaca and the nearby island of Samos, lying in wait near a rocky islet, ready to spring their trap when Telemachus returns.
Wow. So Book I ends with Telemachus sailing off, seeking his father, full of new purpose.
While a deadly ambush awaits his return, planned by the very men who are destroying his home.
And Penelope is left grieving, terrified, but with a sliver of divine hope. Talk about a setup.
Exactly. So many questions hang in the air.
Right. As Telemachus sails bravely into the unknown, you have to wonder, what dangers will he face out there? Will he actually find any news of Ulysses?
And back home, can Penelope possibly hold out against those relentless suitors now that her son is gone? And will the suitors succeed in their murderous plot?
The stakes are incredibly high.
It's only the beginning of the epic.
Well, you'll have to join us next time on Cozy Reading Club as we continue our deep dive into the Odyssey and find out what happens next in this incredible story. This was Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. If you like this series, we invite you to take a look at other series in our podcast and leave a nice review on the platform you are listening this on.